20. Most shocking black actor deaths. What if we told you that some of the most iconic black actors and musicians didn't just pass away? They were stolen from us in the prime of their lives. From brutal murders and tragic accidents to silent battles with disease and addiction. These stars vanished without warning, leaving fans stunned and legacies unfinished. These aren't just deaths. They're gut-wrenching losses that shook Hollywood and the world. In this gripping episode of Legends of Black Excellence, we uncover 20 of the most shocking black celebrity deaths ever recorded. Watch until the end, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep their memory alive. Erica Ashe. Erica Ashe was a multi-talented performer whose presence lit up both television and film. Born on September 19, 1977 in Florida. She began her career as a model but quickly discovered her true calling in comedy and acting. Erica's energy, wit, and range made her a standout in every role she took on. Whether she was doing hilarious impressions or tackling emotional drama, she had the rare ability to fully inhabit her characters with depth and authenticity. Audiences first came to know Erica through her standout performances on Mad TV, where she brought unforgettable characters and biting humor to life. Her ability to transform into wildly different personas week after week earned her critical acclaim and a loyal fan base. She wasn't just funny, she was intelligent, quick, and fearless with her comedy. But Erica wasn't confined to sketch shows. She smoothly transitioned into more serious roles, proving herself as a dramatic actress with surprising emotional range. In Survivor's Remorse, she played M. Chuck, a bold, outspoken woman navigating family identity and trauma with grit and compassion. Her portrayal was layered, delivering both strength and vulnerability in equal measure. She also appeared in Real Husbands of Hollywood, bringing sharp comedic timing to her role as Kevin Hart's on-screen wife. Her chemistry with the cast made her a fan favorite. In Contempt, a BET legal drama, Erica portrayed a passionate public defender fighting for justice within a flawed legal system. It was yet another showcase of her versatility and commitment to complex storytelling. Behind the scenes, Erica was known for being humble, thoughtful, and deeply private. Her quiet battle with cancer remained undisclosed to the public until her passing on July 29, 2024. At only 46 years old, her death came as a shock to fans and peers alike, who had no idea she was fighting such a personal battle. Erica left behind a legacy of excellence, resilience, and inspiration. She was a rare talent who could move seamlessly between genres, captivating audiences in everything she did. Her loss is not just to entertainment, it's to the spirit of fearless black creativity she embodied so fully. Chance Perdomo. Chance Perdomo, born October 19, 1996 in Los Angeles and raised in Southampton, England, was an incredibly promising young actor whose distinctive presence and charisma made him stand out in both dramatic and genre roles. Though his life and career were brief, his performances left a lasting impression on fans around the world. Perdomo first gained attention for his role in the BBC drama Killed by My Debt, a compelling series addressing financial hardship, race, and social inequality. His portrayal of Jerome was powerful and deeply empathetic, revealing the emotional intensity and authenticity he brought to every character. That role showcased his ability to convey vulnerability while maintaining a quiet strength, qualities that would define his subsequent performances. His breakthrough came when he was cast as Ambrose Spellman in Netflix's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. As Sabrina's centuries-old cousin under house arrest, Perdomo combined playful mischief with wisdom beyond his years. Whether using his British-American accent or delivering dry humor with impeccable timing, he made Ambrose both endearing and mysterious. Fans loved his dynamic evolution across seasons, transforming from a charming trickster to a more introspective, emotionally grounded young man. Following Sabrina's end, Perdomo was tapped for a leading role in Gen V, the superhero spin-off of The Boys. As Andre Anderson, a magnetically powered student struggling with pressure, identity, and loyalty, He once again demonstrated depth, nuance, and magnetic screen presence. Critics and viewers alike praised his portrayal, highlighting how he balanced internal conflict with a quiet intensity rare in performers of his age. Tragically, on March 29, 2024, Perdomo died in a motorcycle accident at just 27 years old. The accident occurred during a routine ride, something he reportedly enjoyed during downtime. The suddenness of his passing sent shockwaves throughout the entertainment community. Co-stars, creators, and fans all expressed disbelief and grief. He was at a turning point, having just completed filming on Gen 5 and preparing for new creative opportunities. His talent, energy, and the stories he wanted to explore were cut short far too soon. Despite his brief time in the spotlight, Perdomo left a powerful legacy. He embodied broader representation within genre storytelling and brought heartfelt nuance to every role. His performances resonated deeply, especially within LGBTQ and Black British communities, where representation remains scarce. He was an actor poised for international stardom, and his work, though limited in quantity, was rich in emotional truth. Though gone far too early, Chance Perdomo's spark continues to inspire fans and creatives alike. Chino XL. Derek Keith Barbosa, better known to the world as Chino XL, was a formidable force in hip-hop and occasional acting, known for his deeply poetic lyricism and intellectual bravado. Born July 25, 1968 in the Bronx, New York, his early years were steeped in a love of language and gritty street wisdom. Chino earned a reputation as a cerebral MC, weaving complex metaphors and cultural criticism into his music tracks, like Creep and No Complex, showed his verbal dexterity and fearless perspective. Beyond his role in music, Chino occasionally appeared on screen, lending his commanding presence to film and voice cameo work. Though not widely cast in mainstream Hollywood, his reputation among peers and fans was immense. He was a respected lyricist rather than a chart-driven pop star. In July 2024, Chino XL tragically died by suicide at age 55. The news was deeply jarring to the hip-hop community, as he had appeared strong and intellectually invincible. Reports suggested that despite his public confidence and artistic success, he battled hidden personal struggles, depression, internal pressure, and possibly unresolved identity issues. His death underscored how mental health can be invisible behind public bravado. No excessive sensationalism surrounded the event, just sorrow at the loss of a creative mind who refused to compromise his integrity. Chino's legacy lies in his unyielding commitment to artistry. He challenged listeners to think rather than dance, bringing philosophical weight to rap. He sparred with legends like Tupac, though such conflicts reflected respect rather than petty feuds. His last recordings emphasized authenticity. He refused to water down his vision. Even though he never achieved mass radio play, his influence ran deep among MCs who valued lyrical substance. The shock came from the abruptness of his departure. No public legend of illness, no whispered farewell tour, only sudden silence. Tributes poured in from fellow lyricists, producers, and aficionados who recognized that the world had lost not just a performer but a thoughtful social commentator. His death was a brutal reminder. Even those who articulate power and self-assurance can conceal internal suffering. Chino XL's body of work resonates as a testament to uncompromised artistry. Though his life ended prematurely, his contributions to rap culture continue to inspire underground and mainstream artists alike. His fearless approach to language, social critique, and identity endures an enduring spark extinguished too soon. Mandisa Lynn Hundley, known simply as Mandisa, captured hearts with her powerful vocals and unwavering positivity. Born October 2, 1976 in California, she rose to national prominence as a contestant on American Idol Season 5 in 2006. Although she finished 9th, her distinctive tone and resilient spirit made her a standout, and she went on to forge an impressive gospel music career. Her journey after Idol was characterized by purpose and passion. Mandisa released multiple award-winning albums including True Beauty and Overcomer, with the latter earning a Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Christian Music Album in 2014. Tracks from Overcomer and Good Morning became motivational anthems, uplifting listeners wrestling with personal hardship, loss, or spiritual question. Mandisa was candid about her own struggles with weight and self-image. She actively shared her journey toward health, becoming an advocate for wellness in faith-based circles. Fans admired her transparency. She used social media speaking engagements and her music to encourage others navigating similar challenges. In April 2024, at age 47, Mandisa passed away due to complications related to Class 3 obesity. Her family confirmed the news, explaining that she had long dealt with significant health risks tied to morbid obesity. The loss was a heavy blow to the Christian music community, which had embraced her as a symbol of redemption, strength, and hope. Her passing drew attention to chronic health issues that disproportionately affect Black women, particularly within faith communities. Colleagues, fans, and fellow artists poured out tributes highlighting her extraordinary vocal range, generous mentorship, and dedicated advocacy. She bridged the gap between gospel tradition and contemporary pop sensibilities, a rare and influential talent. What stood out about Mandisa was that her message was never limited to performance. It was deeply personal. She spoke openly of failures and triumphs, faith and doubt. Every song she sang felt like an invitation to believe we're stronger than our past. The shock of her departure lay in both her vibrant presence and sudden absence. Mandisa's music remains a legacy of healing and empowerment. Her albums continue to inspire listeners grappling with adversity. Even in her absence, the courage she exemplified lives on, an enduring testament to the belief that redemption is possible for anyone courageous enough to embrace it. Aaliyah Dana Houghton emerged in the mid-1990s as a trailblazing singer-actress and cultural trendsetter. Born January 16, 1979 in Brooklyn and raised in Detroit, she released her debut album Age Ain't Nothing But a Number at just 15, signaling a fresh blend of R&B and hip-hop sensibility. Yet it was her 1996 sophomore release One in a Million that cemented her as an icon, working with Missy Elliott and Timbaland, crafting hits like If Your Girl Only Knew with soundscapes that still inform modern music. Transitioning seamlessly into film, Aaliyah showcased her natural screen presence in Romeo Must Die 2000 alongside Jet Li. Her poised performance and timing hinted at a cinema career blossoming beyond music. She was later cast in the Matrix sequels, signaling Hollywood's belief in her crossover potential. The fashion world likewise took notice. Her tomboy chic aesthetic, crop tops, baggy pants, hair covering one eye, reverberated through youth culture. She inspired a generation to embrace her confident minimalist look. Despite her meteoric rise, she maintained humility and artistic focus. On August 25, 2001, Aaliyah's life ended tragically at just 22 in a plane crash in the Bahamas. The small aircraft was reportedly overloaded, and the pilot lacked proper certification. All 9 on board perished, including her production team and crew. The suddenness of her loss triggered an outpouring of grief worldwide. She had just wrapped filming a music video and was en route back to Miami when the disaster struck. At the time of her death, Aaliyah had released 2 studio albums and left behind multiple unreleased tracks. Her influence persists through samples, tribute concerts, posthumous albums, and the countless artists who cite her vocal tone style and pioneering spirit as foundational. Regrettably, no authorized studio album followed One in a Million during her life. Her untimely passing is often described as a cultural inflection point. She had become an embodiment of effortless talent, poised to deepen her legacy in music, film, and fashion. Even more than 2 decades later, Aaliyah remains a reference point for modern pop R&B artistry and confidence. Lloyd Avery. Lloyd Avery II was a name most moviegoers might not have known, but his face and performances were unforgettable. Born on June 21, 1969 in Los Angeles, he grew up in Baldwin Hills, a middle-class neighborhood known as the Black Beverly Hills. With a deep interest in acting, he began landing small roles in the early 1990s. But his big break came when he was cast in John Singleton's critically acclaimed Boys and the Hood. In the film, Avery played a menacing gang member known as Knucklehead Number 2, the very character who pulls the trigger in one of the movie's most heartbreaking scenes. Though his role was minor in screen time, his presence and delivery became iconic in the landscape of 90s black cinema. He later appeared in Poetic Justice alongside Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur, continuing to build his name in gritty, urban-themed dramas. But while his on-screen persona was that of a hardened street thug, Avery's real life began to mirror the roles he played. He became entangled in gang culture, and by the late 90s was living a life far removed from Hollywood. In 1999, he was arrested and later convicted of a double homicide. The sentence: life in prison. Avery was incarcerated at Pelican Bay State Prison, a maximum security facility known for housing California's most dangerous inmates. On September 4, 2005, he was found dead in his cell. He had been beaten and strangled by his cellmate, an attack reportedly fueled by racial tensions. He was 36 years old. Lloyd Avery's story is one of disturbing irony. An actor whose talent could have taken him far instead spiraled into the very life his roles depicted. His death was shocking not just because of its brutality, but because it marked the final chapter in a haunting collapse from cinematic promise to real-life tragedy. Tupac Shakur. Tupac Amaru Shakur was not just an actor or a rapper. He was a revolution wrapped in rhythm, fury, and poetry. Born on June 16, 1971 in East Harlem, New York, Tupac was raised in an environment steeped in political activism thanks to his mother, Afeni Shakur, a former Black Panther. That sense of resistance and purpose shaped every role he played, whether on screen or in the studio. Tupac began his career as a backup dancer with Digital Underground, but it didn't take long before he stepped into the spotlight. His debut album, 2Pacalypse Now, tackled issues like police brutality, teen pregnancy, and poverty topics. Few mainstream rappers dared to confront at the time. As his music climbed the charts, Tupac began making waves in Hollywood too. He starred in Juice, delivering a chilling performance as Bishop, a troubled youth driven to violence. He followed it up with memorable roles in Poetic Justice and Above the Rim, proving he had dramatic depth that transcended his music. But Tupac's life was marred by controversy, legal troubles, and a bitter East Coast-West Coast feud that became one of the most dangerous rivalries in music history. On September 7, 1996, after attending a Mike Tyson boxing match in Las Vegas, Tupac was shot 4 times in a drive-by shooting while riding in a car with Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight. He died 6 days later on September 13th at the age of just 25. The murder remains unsolved, but the impact of Tupac's death is undeniable. He left behind an enormous musical legacy, including All Eyes on Me and Me Against the World, as well as unreleased material that would continue to be issued posthumously. His artistry, outspokenness, and contradictions made him more than a celebrity. He became a martyr to many, a prophet to some, and a warning to all. Tupac's murder remains one of the most shocking and tragic events in the history of black entertainment. Young Dolph, Adolph Robert Thornton Jr. Better known as Young Dolph, was a Memphis-born rapper and entrepreneur who lived life on his own terms. Born on July 27, 1985, he was raised by his grandmother in one of the city's toughest neighborhoods. His music reflected the raw reality of his upbringing, gritty, aggressive, and unapologetically honest. Dolph first caught national attention with mixtapes like Welcome to Dolph World, and later with his debut album King of Memphis, which solidified him as one of the South's most respected independent artists. He was fiercely proud of his independence, turning down major label offers to retain full control over his career masters and business ventures. Tracks like 100 Shots and Preach blended braggadocio with gritty street philosophy, connecting with fans who admired both his hustle and authenticity. But Dolph was more than just a rapper. He was a businessman, philanthropist, and role model for young black men in the South. He gave away cars, supported local schools, and consistently reminded others of the importance of financial independence. He was building a legacy not just in music but in ownership and community empowerment. On November 17, 2021, that legacy was brutally cut short. While visiting Makeda's homemade butter cookies, a local bakery he often supported, Dolph was ambushed and fatally shot. He had been in town to hand out Thanksgiving turkeys, a testament to how grounded he remained despite his fame. He was just 36 years old. His murder sent shockwaves across the hip-hop community, especially because it happened in the city he loved most. The randomness and cruelty of the attack highlighted the dangers that still face successful black men returning to their roots. Young Dolph's death wasn't just a tragedy for Memphis, it was a gut punch for independent artists everywhere. He died a hero in his own right, a self-made king who never forgot where he came from. Nipsey Hussle. Ermias Joseph Asghedom, globally known as Nipsey Hussle, wasn't just a rapper, he was a visionary. Born on August 15, 1985 in Los Angeles, California, Nipsey grew up in the Crenshaw district, a neighborhood heavily affected by gang violence, poverty, and racial inequity. Rather than let those conditions defeat him, he used them to fuel his art and his mission. He began releasing mixtapes in the mid-2000s, with his Bullets Ain't Got No Name series gaining traction among underground hip-hop circles. But it wasn't just Nipsey's bars that made people take notice, it was his commitment to authenticity and ownership. In an era where many artists signed away their rights, he took the long road building his brand brick by brick. His 2013 release Crenshaw made headlines when Jay-Z purchased 100 copies for $100 each. That moment wasn't just symbolic, it cemented Nipsey as a new kind of businessman artist. In 2018, Nipsey released his long-awaited studio debut, Victory Lap, which earned a Grammy nomination. It was a celebration of his journey from the streets to the stage, a roadmap for financial literacy, empowerment, and community reinvestment. He opened the Marathon clothing store at the intersection of Slauson and Crenshaw, where he employed locals, supported Black-owned brands, and even created STEM programs for inner-city youth. On March 31, 2019, while standing outside that very store, Nipsey was shot multiple times and killed. He was 33 years old. The shooter was later identified as someone from Nipsey's own neighborhood, making the loss feel all the more tragic. He wasn't just killed, he was assassinated in the very place he was trying to uplift. His death ignited a nationwide outcry. Fans, artists, athletes, and activists mourned the loss of a man who wasn't just rapping about change, he was living it. Nipsey Hussle's legacy is etched into the heart of South Los Angeles and the culture at large. His message was clear: own your future, give back to your people, and never run from where you came from. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Aaron Boseman was more than an actor, he was a cultural phenomenon. Born on November 29, 1976 in Anderson, South Carolina. Boseman graduated from Howard University with a degree in directing, mentored by none other than Felicia Rashad. Early in his career, he focused on writing and stage acting, but destiny had bigger plans for him on the screen. His breakthrough came in 2013 when he portrayed baseball icon Jackie Robinson in 42. With quiet intensity and emotional restraint, he embodied the dignity and struggle of a man who broke racial barriers. He followed it up with two more portrayals of real-life legends, James Brown in Get On Up and Thurgood Marshall in Marshall. Each performance was transformative. He didn't just play these figures, he resurrected them. But it was Black Panther in 2018 that made Chadwick a global symbol. As King T'Challa of Wakanda, he didn't just act, he inspired. Black Panther became a box office juggernaut and cultural milestone representing Black excellence, African pride, and heroic representation on a scale Hollywood had never seen. Boseman took the role seriously, knowing how much it meant to children, especially young Black boys and girls who saw a superhero that looked like them. What made his achievements even more extraordinary was what the world didn't know in 2016. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. Despite undergoing multiple surgeries and chemotherapy, he continued to act in physically demanding roles like Avengers Endgame Day 5 Bloods and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. He never spoke publicly about his diagnosis, choosing instead to focus on his craft. On August 28, 2020, Chadwick passed away at 43, surrounded by his family. The world was stunned. No one knew the weight he'd been carrying. His death wasn't just heartbreaking, it was monumental. He gave us kings, pioneers, warriors, and did it all while fighting a battle most couldn't imagine. Chadwick Boseman didn't just play heroes, he was one. And in death, his legacy became immortal. Wakanda forever. Rich Homie Quan. Rich Homie Quan, born October 4, 1989 in Atlanta, Georgia, was a key figure in shaping the modern Southern hip-hop sound of the 2010s. His melodic flows, emotional vulnerability, and raw lyrics positioned him at the forefront of Atlanta's new wave alongside artists like Future and Young Thug. Quan stood out for his ability to blend catchy hooks with street storytelling, a balance that earned him both critical and commercial recognition. He rose to fame with tracks like Type of Way and Flex Ooh Ooh Ooh, which showcased his signature melodic cadence and expressive delivery. These hits weren't just radio-friendly. They captured a specific emotional honesty that resonated with fans navigating love, loyalty, betrayal, and ambition. Quan quickly became a mainstay on the mixtape circuit, dropping popular projects such as Still Going In and If You Ever Think I Will Stop Going In, Ask RR. Despite a strong solo career, his collaborations also fueled his rise. He was briefly part of Rich Gang alongside Birdman and Young Thug, with whom he created the fan-favorite mixtape Thoughtour Part 1. His chemistry with other Atlanta artists expanded his reach and built anticipation for a long-lasting legacy. However, behind the music, Quan struggled with personal demons. On September 5, 2024, he was found dead in his Atlanta home at just 34 years old. Authorities confirmed the cause of death as an accidental overdose involving multiple substances. The shocking news stunned fans who were unaware he had been battling substance abuse. His untimely death served as another grim reminder of how addiction continues to plague the music industry. Quan was still actively recording music and had plans to tour. His life and career were far from finished. Though his mainstream peak was brief, his influence on the melodic trap sound is undeniable. Rich Homie Quan's voice may be gone, but the emotion he poured into his music remains immortal in the hearts of his listeners. DMX, born Earl Simmons on December 18, 1970 in Mount Vernon, New York, was a towering figure in hip-hop known for his growling voice, electrifying stage presence, and deeply confessional lyrics. Raised in Yonkers under harsh conditions, DMX used pain as his fuel and channeled it into some of the most explosive music of his generation. His music wasn't polished. It was primal, spiritual, and fearless. His 1998 debut album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, exploded onto the scene, debuting at #1 and marking the start of a historic run. He would go on to release 5 consecutive albums that topped the Billboard 200, a record-breaking achievement at the time. Tracks like Rough Riders, Anthem, Party Up, and Slippin' weren't just hits, they were raw cries from the soul. He rapped about street survival, trauma, faith, and redemption with an unmatched intensity. DMX also had a successful acting career, starring in gritty action films like Belly Romeo Must Die, Cradle 2, The Grave, and Exit Wounds. His rugged charisma translated effortlessly to the screen, making him a rare crossover artist who never compromised his edge. Yet beneath the success, DMX battled lifelong demons. His addiction to crack cocaine began at just 14 after being tricked into smoking it by a mentor. That trauma haunted him throughout his life. Despite multiple stints in rehab and efforts to get clean, the battle was ongoing. He remained open about his struggles, often using interviews and prayer-filled concerts to bare his soul. On April 9, 2021, DMX suffered a massive heart attack reportedly triggered by a drug overdose. He was rushed to the hospital and placed on life support but never regained consciousness. He passed away at the age of 50, leaving behind 15 children and a grieving global fan base. His death marked the end of an era. DMX wasn't just a rapper. He was the voice of every wounded soul who needed strength. He turned pain into poetry, rage into rhythm, and left a legacy carved in honesty, faith, and raw emotion. His bark, His prayers, his truth, they echo still. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was more than just a singer. He was the architect of soul music, bridging gospel tradition with pop appeal in a way no one before him had done. Born on January 22, 1931 in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and raised in Chicago, Cooke's smooth tenor voice first gained fame with the gospel group The Soul Stirrers. But it was his transition to secular music that would ignite a cultural movement and change American music forever. With timeless hits like You Send Me a Change Is Gonna Come, and Cupid Cooke captured both romantic yearning and social urgency. His voice, elegant, tender, and effortless, became a beacon of the civil rights era. A Change Is Gonna Come, released just before his death, became a powerful anthem for equality and remains one of the most important songs in American history. Cooke was also a pioneer behind the scenes. He founded his own record label and publishing company unheard of for a black artist in the 1950s and 60s. He fought for artistic and financial control, inspiring future generations to demand ownership and autonomy in the music industry. But Cooke's life was tragically cut short on December 11, 1964, under murky circumstances. He was shot and killed by a motel manager in Los Angeles who claimed self-defense after an altercation. He was only 33 years old. According to reports, Cooke, dressed only in a jacket and shoes, had burst into the motel office searching for a woman who had allegedly stolen his clothes and money. Many found the official story suspicious, and theories of a cover-up or foul play persist to this day. Sam Cooke's death remains one of the most puzzling and heartbreaking losses in music history. He left behind not only a catalog of timeless songs, but a blueprint for Black excellence ownership and activism in entertainment. His voice continues to inspire, and his legacy echoes in every soul singer who came after him. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was a vocal powerhouse whose gift was nothing short of divine. Born on August 9, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, she came from a family of musical royalty. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a renowned gospel singer, and her cousin was none other than Dionne Warwick. From a young age, Whitney's voice was destined to reach the world, and when it did, it changed everything. Her self-titled debut album in 1985 launched her to superstardom, featuring hits like Greatest Love of All, How Will I Know, and Saving All My Love for You. Her range control and emotional intensity set new standards for vocalists across genres. With 7 consecutive #1 singles, a feat still unmatched, Whitney became one of the best-selling music artists of all time. Her 1992 rendition of Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You from the Bodyguard soundtrack solidified her place as a global icon. The song spent 14 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the best-selling singles in music history. Her work in film and music earned her over 400 awards, including 6 Grammys, and she was often referred to as the Voice. But alongside her soaring success came personal struggles. Her turbulent marriage to Bobby Brown, coupled with substance abuse issues, led to years of public scrutiny. Despite several attempts at a comeback, including a well-received album in 2009, her voice showed signs of wear from years of addiction. On February 11, 2012, Whitney was found unresponsive in the bathtub of her Beverly Hilton hotel suite. She was 48 years old. The coroner ruled her death an accidental drowning with cocaine, heart disease, and other substances contributing to her demise. She had been preparing to attend a pre-Grammy party that very night. Her death was a global shock, not just because of her fame, but because of the hope that she might still reclaim her legacy. In truth, she already had. Whitney Houston remains a cultural icon, her voice immortalized in songs that still move listeners to tears. Her fall was tragic, but her rise remains legendary. Jam Master Jay. Jam Master. Jay born Jason William Mizell on January 21, 1965 in Brooklyn. New York was the sonic architect behind one of hip-hop's most influential groups, Run DMC. As the group's DJ, he wasn't just spinning records, he was building bridges between cultures, genres, and generations. While Run and DMC delivered hard-hitting rhymes, Jay was the silent force commanding the turntables, turning their sound into a movement. In the 1980s, Run DMC revolutionized rap with their minimalist beats and street-smart image. Jay's masterful DJ work was essential to that formula. Together, they made history with hits like It's Tricky My Adidas and Walk This Way, the latter of which fused hip-hop and rock in a groundbreaking collaboration with Aerosmith. Jam Master Jay wasn't just backing them up, he was innovating how hip-hop sounded and looked, pioneering the DJ's role as a true artist. Jay also founded JMJ Records, helping launch the career of 50 Cent and mentoring countless young talents in the Queens area. He was known for giving back to his community, often offering studio time and guidance to aspiring musicians. On October 30th, 2002, tragedy struck. Jay was shot and killed inside his Queens recording studio in a brazen and targeted attack. He was 37. For nearly 2 decades, the case went unsolved, becoming one of hip-hop's most haunting mysteries. In 2020, federal prosecutors indicted 2 men for his murder, revealing the crime may have been tied to a drug dispute, a shocking turn given Jay's reputation as a peacekeeper in the industry. Jam Master Jay's death wasn't just the loss of a DJ, it was the silencing of a visionary. He helped take hip-hop global, and his legacy lives on in the beats, the fashion, and the fierce pride of those he inspired. His murder was one of the most chilling in music history, a reminder that even legends aren't immune to the dangers they worked so hard to rise above. Bobbi Kristina Brown. Bobbi Kristina Brown was born into music royalty. The daughter of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, she entered the world on March 4, 1993, as the sole heir to one of the most iconic voices in music history. From birth, she lived in the public eye, cradled in fame, surrounded by cameras, and burdened by the impossible expectations that come with being born to legends. As a child, Bobbi Kristina often appeared on red carpets and in televised interviews with her mother, showing signs of musical talent and charisma. But her upbringing was marred by the very public and turbulent marriage of her parents, which included legal troubles, drug abuse, and domestic conflict. After her parents' divorce, she remained particularly close to her mother, and the two were often seen attending events together. The tragedy of Whitney Houston's sudden death in 2012 shattered Bobbi Kristina. At just 19 years old, she had lost her mother, mentor, and best friend. What followed was a heartbreaking downward spiral. She began engaging in erratic behavior, entered a controversial relationship with Nick Gordon, whom she referred to as her husband, and withdrew from the public eye. On January 31, 2015, Bobbi Kristina was found unconscious in a bathtub at her Georgia home, eerily mirroring the circumstances of her mother's death. She was placed in a medically induced coma but never recovered. After months of being in hospice care, she passed away on July 26, 2015 at the age of 22. The official cause of death was lobar pneumonia, a complication of drug intoxication and drowning. Her death raised painful questions and speculation, particularly around the role of her boyfriend, who was later found legally responsible in a wrongful death civil suit. While the full truth may never be known, one thing is clear: Bobbi Kristina was a young woman searching for her place in a world that never allowed her to be ordinary. Her story remains one of Hollywood's most sorrowful tales, a child born into stardom, yet undone by its darkest shadows. She never had the chance to fully blossom, and her loss echoes the fragility of lives caught between legacy and tragedy. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was one of the most influential and emotionally resonant artists in music history. Born on April 2, 1939 in Washington, D.C., Gaye's smooth tenor and soulful delivery helped define the Motown sound of the 1960s and 70s. Early hits like How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You Ain't That Peculiar and I Heard It Through the Grapevine established him as a romantic crooner with universal appeal. But Marvin wasn't content to remain just another hitmaker. In 1971, he released What's Going On, a deeply personal and socially conscious concept album that addressed issues like poverty, war, and environmental decay. Initially rejected by Motown executives for being too political, The album went on to become one of the most revered projects in music history. Its success proved that pop and protest could coexist and thrive. Gaye's later work, including Let's Get It On and Sexual Healing, explored themes of intimacy, spirituality, and inner conflict. He was an artist who bared his soul, with every note using his music to navigate both ecstasy and despair. Behind the scenes, however, Marvin battled depression, drug addiction, and financial instability. His personal life was fraught with tumult, particularly his volatile relationship with his father, Marvin Gaye Sr. On April 1, 1984, just one day before his 45th birthday, Marvin was shot and killed by his father during an argument at their Los Angeles home. The incident occurred after a heated dispute, and the gun used had been a gift from Marvin himself. The music world was stunned, a visionary voice silenced not by the industry or health, but by family violence. His death marked one of the most shocking and senseless losses in music history. Yet his influence remains unshaken. Marvin Gaye's fearless honesty, emotional vulnerability, and musical genius continue to shape generations of artists across soul, R&B, and beyond. His voice endures, echoing through time with messages of love, struggle, and hope. Black Rob. Robert Ross, known professionally as Black Rob, was a gritty storyteller whose voice, gravelly raw and unmistakably real, became a signature sound of late 90s and early 2000s hip-hop. Born on June 16, 1969 in Buffalo, New York, and raised in Harlem, Rob emerged from the streets with a style that was both unfiltered and poetic. He gained widespread attention in 2000 with the release of Whoa, a hard-hitting anthem that captured his rugged lyricism and commanding delivery. Released under Sean Puffy Combs' Bad Boy Records, the single became a massive hit and helped drive the success of his debut album Life Story, which went platinum. The album offered more than just catchy club bangers. It was filled with vivid tales of urban survival, betrayal, and the constant tension between loyalty and danger. Unlike many of his label peers who leaned into glitz and glamour, Black Rob stayed rooted in realism. His rhymes didn't glorify the street, they mourned it. Despite this, his music often went underappreciated in mainstream circles, even as his authenticity earned him deep respect in the hip-hop community. Behind the mic, Rob faced numerous hardships. He battled health problems for years, including chronic kidney failure that required frequent dialysis. Financial troubles followed, and videos surfaced of him in poor health, sparking concerns and prompting support from fellow artists. The hip-hop world rallied around him, but his condition deteriorated. On April 17, 2021, Black Rob died at the age of 51 due to cardiac arrest stemming from his kidney issues. His passing came just days after another legend, DMX, and highlighted the harsh realities that even respected artists often face when the spotlight fades. Black Rob's story is one of grit, talent, and the painful toll of a life lived hard. Though his time in the limelight was brief, his voice and message left a lasting imprint on New York hip-hop and beyond. His lyrics live on in the streets that shaped him, and in the fans who recognize the raw truth behind every word he spit. The Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace, known globally as the Notorious B.I.G., or simply Biggie, was the embodiment of lyrical mastery. Born on May 21, 1972 in Brooklyn, New York, he rose from the gritty streets of Bedford-Stuyvesant to become one of the most celebrated rappers in history. His storytelling ability, poetic flow, and booming voice made him an unmatched figure in 1990s hip-hop. Biggie's debut album, Ready to Die 1994, was both a commercial and critical smash, chronicling his journey from struggle to success with brutal honesty and cinematic detail. Hits like Juicy Big Papa and Warning cemented him as the new face of East Coast rap, helping to reinvigorate New York's dominance in a genre that was increasingly being shaped by West Coast artists. Biggie's larger-than-life persona, suave yet streetwise, clever yet confrontational, became iconic. His friendship-turned-feud with Tupac Shakur, once collaborators, became a tragic focal point of the East Coast as West Coast hip-hop rivalry. As tensions escalated, so did the danger. On March 9, 1997, after attending a party in Los Angeles, Biggie was gunned down in a drive-by shooting. He was only 24 years old. His murder came just 6 months after Tupac's and remains officially unsolved. 3 weeks after his death, his sophomore album Life After Death was released, debuting at #1 and spawning massive hits like Mo Money Mo Problems and Hypnotize. The timing, the prophecy of the album title, and the magnitude of the loss made Biggie's death one of the most shocking in music history. He left behind a wife, Faith Evans, 2 children, and a body of work that still influences rappers globally. Though his career lasted barely 5 years, his impact was eternal. The King of Brooklyn had fallen, but his crown was never touched. Kyrie Jackson. Kyrie Jackson was on the brink of living out his NFL dreams when fate cruelly intervened. Born December 12, 2001 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Kyrie's journey to football stardom was anything but typical. He began at Fort Scott Community College before transferring to powerhouse programs at Alabama, and then the University of Oregon, where he made his name as a fearless and athletic cornerback. Standing at 6'3" with elite coverage skills and a physical edge, Kyrie had all the tools to succeed at the professional level. His hard work paid off in April 2024 when he was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings in the 4th round of the NFL Draft. For a young man who had battled through academic and athletic setbacks, it was the ultimate reward, a chance to prove himself on the grandest stage. Teammates and coaches praised his work ethic and adaptability during training camp. He was poised to contribute immediately, with many expecting him to be a breakout rookie. But tragedy struck before he ever played a single NFL snap. On July 6, 2024, Kyrie Jackson was killed in a devastating car crash in Prince George's County, Maryland. He was just 22. The accident occurred in the early morning hours when another vehicle collided with the car Jackson was riding in, also claiming the lives of 2 of his former high school teammates. The driver responsible reportedly fled a red light at high speed. News of Kyrie's death sent shockwaves across the sports world. The Vikings college coaches and fans mourned the loss of not just an athlete, but a young man who had fought for every opportunity he had. He represented perseverance, growth, and untapped potential. Kyrie Jackson's story is one of inspiration turned heartbreak. A rising star with his entire life ahead of him, taken in an instant. His name now stands as a sobering reminder of life's fragility, even for those seemingly destined for greatness. These 20 shocking deaths remind us that no amount of fame, talent, or potential can shield anyone from tragedy. From the streets of Brooklyn to the hills of Hollywood, each loss left a void that can never truly be filled. Their voices may be silenced, but their impact echoes across generations. At Legends of Black Excellence, we honor not just their fame, but their fight, their flaws, and their legacy. Which of these untimely deaths shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about how we continue their legacy beyond the headlines.